President Obama and Pope Francis met for the first time, and believe it or not, it is the 28th time a United States president has met with the Pope since 1919.
Wow.
Yeah, how about that? So to talk about it is a former guest of the show. He's been on the show a number of times. He wrote a book called The Global Vatican, and he is Ambassador Francis Rooney. Let me hit the button here. Good morning, Ambassador Rooney. You are the former U.S. ambassador to the Vatican under George Bush. Thank you for joining us here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, McGraw, for having me on.
You got it. What were your thoughts as you sat and watched this?
Well, I think it's a big improvement over the way things have been, where the Obama administration hasn't been too interested in leveraging the Holy See's diplomatic voice. But I'm really encouraged by the meeting, and hopefully the president will realize now that there's many great things to be accomplished for our foreign policy, which is a foreign policy but based on some similar values and principles as the Holy See, by deploying their voice.
It's always been interesting to me that there's always been a little bit of well, let me put it this way. I'm kind of shocked that the president and the popes haven't been closer. I know under Ronald Reagan, he opened up diplomatic communications between the two groups, if you will. He was the first one to do it. But this is the first time President Obama is meeting the Pope. I find that kind of interesting.
Well, he actually had one fairly perfunctory visit early in his time, but this is the first time he's had a visit where there was any substance to it. And I think that reflects that this administration has been a fairly secular one and was reluctant to embrace the relationship. It's been fairly attenuated.
How does something like this work? Are there questions that are already planned out, or was it a free-flowing communication? How does that work?
I think it'd be a pretty free-flowing. I mean, you know, they're going to keep these kind of meetings on fairly high-level principles and issues, and don't get down in the weeds too much.
Yeah. What do you think the Pope wanted to get out of it?
Well, I think the Pope would certainly want to see the United States and the President of the United States more engaged with the Holy See in lending, you know, our strong voice to some of the fundamental principles that the Holy See tries to advance in diplomacy.
Do you think, though, President Obama, with his stance on same-sex marriage and, abortion and other things, do you think that, how will that affect him with other Catholic leaders and the Pope?
Well, you can see that there were elements of the visit that were fairly circumscribed. They were subtle, but it wasn't. The Vatican would make sure, and I think did make sure, that there's no ground being given on those fundamental disagreements. You know, when Cardinal Parolin, who's the Vatican Secretary of State, spoke with Secretary Kerry a few months ago, he got into that issue directly, as did, I think, that Cardinal Parolin did with President Obama in the subsequent meeting.
Know anything about the Pope actually making plans to come visit Philadelphia in 2015?
There's been a lot of buzz about that. I was with one of the leading U.S. cardinals a couple of days ago, and he mentioned, or I think it was Thursday night, and he mentioned that they're all pushing for a papal visit in Philadelphia next year.
Why would it be Philadelphia? How does that work? Why would it be?
I forget the name of it, but there's some Catholic commemorative event going on there that would make it a tie. I don't think it's a World Youth Day, but it's some Catholic-related either family commemoration of the family or something. I forget exactly which one it is.
Yeah. Does the Pope and the President speak? I mean, when you were ambassador, does the President pick up the phone and maybe say a prayer, or I'd like to talk to the Pope, or get his back channel communication? Does any of that ever go on?
Not that I know of directly by phone. There have been a few phone calls here and there. Like, I think that President Obama congratulated the Pope on his installation. I think that I know there's a few times where I think George Bush made calls, congratulatory kind of calls and things like that. But as far as policy goes, most of that is done face-to-face or through the second-level intermediaries face-to-face.
Yeah. Were you happy with this visit? different? Would you like to have seen it gone differently, or know more about what happened?
No, I think it went great because I think that, obviously President Obama's trying to leverage the Holy See's influence in the world, and the comments that Pope Francis had made about income inequality and economics, which are, have many of the same words used that President Obama's used, but the Pope's looking at it from an entirely different focus. He's looking at it from Latin America, where there's huge inequality of wealth and no safety net at all, and very corrupt capitalism. And he's looking all around the world at some of the huge injustices that are being done in Africa and the Middle East. And, it's kind of hard to say that the things in the United States are on par with the carnage that's being wreaked in Central African Republic or the persecution of Christians all through the Middle East.
Well, except last night on 60 Minutes when you have Michael Lewis saying that our stock market is corrupt. It's kind of hard to say that, we've got the perfect capitalistic system.
No, but compared to what happens in Latin America and many places around the world, we're still the leading light for using capitalism to distribute goods and services to more people. But
your point, though, is well taken, is that there are some large disagreements, but there are some that they're actually walk arm in arm with together, right? So, I mean, it's sort of a... The State Department has recently picked up the need to speak clearly about Christian persecution in the Middle East, and that's been something that the Holy See has been on the vanguard of, since the rise of radical Islam and all this Christian persecution began. Yeah. Ambassador Francis Rooney, the former U.S. ambassador to the Holy See, is the author of a great book called The Global Vatican. Ambassador Rooney, thank you very much for your time. Have a good day. McGraw, thank you for having me on. You got it. 727 here, Big 550 KTRS.